Need water to do this stuff.
I've been a musician for a long time. I've worked in recording studios a lot. I've worked with some very, very good songwriters. I had a home studio very early on, and I still do. So I went into doing radio used to the idea of having headphones on, mic technique, feeling relaxed around studio equipment. So all of that helped. Yeah, Mozambique there with Bob Dylan, and before that, No Time to Think, and I had no time to think, I just went with that anyway. Connections is, at its simplest, the concept of rock and roll in the broadest sense of the term. Anytime over, let's say since the 50s and 60s to records that have been released last week. I love new music. I love old music. I try to aim for something that is good songwriting, good production, good sound, something that is structured well in terms of songwriting. And other times it's just whatever sounds good and feels right in the moment. And I like the mix of old and new music. I like the idea that listeners can hear something once in a while that they can sing along with, or that they already know something about or can tap, their hands. And I like bringing new music to people. I like having fun with it. This is new from Jonathan Wilson, 69 Corvette. Long ago, I had been in the car on the day of 3 Mile Island, and I heard the news, and I was tuned into this station in the car where the guy on the radio was saying, this is really bad that this had happened, it could be very dangerous, be careful out there. And he said, I want to play this song. And it was Elvis Costello singing Accidents Will Happen. And I thought, that's really funny. So each year, if I was on the radio, either on the anniversary of that or close to it, I'd tell that story. And one of the days I told that, I walked down to Peter's office and I said, did you hear that, talking about 3 Mile Island? The guy on the radio playing Accidents Will Happen. He says, that was me. All right. Nice synchronicity there. I was originally going to come in here with my mask, but they were out of it at the, various stores I checked. So I thought maybe, I don't want anybody to, catch anything from me while I'm on the radio. So I thought, I'll try this. Let's see. A couple of paper towels. There, how's that sound? Is that pretty good? No, I don't know if that'll work. Ripping it up here. Let's see. I think one of the other problems is that even if I'd had the mask, I've got a goatee right now, so I'd have to cut it off. Now, here's one of the things about radio. If you were seeing that on, let's say, TV, that joke wouldn't be as funny because it wasn't that funny anyway, so I forget that. Buzz off. I made the attempt to have paper towels as a mask because I couldn't get a mask. So let me see if this works. Okay, let's try it. Maybe I should fold it in half. That'll give it twice the power, right? Okay. So let me. How does this sound? Does it sound all right? It's aluminum foil. Maybe I should put it on my head as like a tinfoil hat. A couple of times I've introduced the films, which was a lot of fun for me. One of them was Dylan's Don't Look Back, and one of them was the Beatles film that Ron Howard put together. And I remember thinking at the time, when I first heard the Beatles, when I first heard the Dylan, when I first saw the Dylan movie, I had no idea I'd ever do a radio show. I had no idea they'd last long enough, that they'd have films about them that people would want to see decades later. And I had no idea that I'd get to introduce one of their films and tell a few stories about them. So that was fun, and a very nice way to connect with the audience in a different way than behind a microphone. This is Eric Cox. You're listening to Connections on WPKN 89.5 in Bridgeport, Connecticut, the home of P.T. Barnum. And P.T., I found this out relatively recently, actually lived here. I mean, not in the studio, but he owned all the land around the studio that the studio was on. And, if I could get him to show up, I'd love to do an on-air live interview. One of the things I also enjoy is that I've been given free rein to do interviews, and there's no set procedure for it. Sometimes it'll be with people in the music business that I really like their work, and sometimes it'll be with people in the music business that I know in real life. And we can do that without a script. I greatly enjoyed having Tony Visconti on, talking about his relationship with David Bowie and Mark Bolan and other people. I've greatly enjoyed having my friend Chris Friends and Tina Weymouth on. I've greatly enjoyed Rod Argent from the Zombies and being able to pick his brain on how he created that music, and Tommy James from the Shondells, and my friend Paul Krasner, a satirist, comedian, author, who just let it loose. We just talked about whatever we felt like talking about, and I've done that with a number of people. My friend Alan Menken, he's got 8 Oscars. It's pretty rare for him to do a loose interview. Some of his interviews are a bit more formal, and we just sat there and laughed about all sorts of things. Well, he told stories, played demos that had never been played on radio. It was so much fun. Your imagination is far bigger than what you see. And there's things that happen, particularly if you're driving, if you're in your car. I kind of like the idea of making somebody laugh unexpectedly for something that they couldn't have anticipated. In the long term, young blood will be a very important part of where this station goes from here. I like the idea of people from all ages having shows at WPKN and involving listeners from all ages. And I've heard stories that, younger people don't necessarily like radio, but I think that's going to change if that is the case. And if it isn't the case, let's turn them on enough that they go, well, that's an interesting alternative to just having my Spotify playlist, or just having some random program generate what they think I want to hear. There's a real live DJ making choices in real time that I think is way different than any of those programs. I think it's way different than satellite radio, where it seems to me that there's a lot of shows that are put together in advance and maybe edit in the personality, doing 10, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, whatever, but it's not live and in person the same way that this is. And I think that's a valuable thing. And I don't know, the more we can do to turn on more and more people at any given age, the better. And the more we can do to get younger people involved with the station, the better. This is what happens. It's random. If I think about it from another direction, when I play tennis, I might have some kind of a game plan in mind, but every point winds up being spontaneous and reacting to what came before it. And with this radio show, I don't know what I'm going to play next a lot of the time. And sometimes something will just occur to me, and okay, this sounds like a cool place to go. And I believe that comes through the airwaves. And I believe that people that enjoy the show like that feeling of spontaneity, and that if I don't know what's happening in that moment, they're going to be surprised too. And sometimes there's pauses or things that go slightly wrong, or I can't find a CD, or an equipment breakdown for a moment. And to me, that makes it real on every possible level, that we're all in this together. We're all here for the ride, and I think it's fun.